Adaobi, a bright and determined 22 years old, had just graduated from the local university with a degree in business administration. She dreamed of working in Lagos, building a career, and breaking free from the cycle of poverty that had gripped her family for years. Her father, Obinna, once a successful trader, had fallen on hard times. A series of bad investments, coupled with the economic downturn, had left the family drowning in debts. Their only asset, the family house, was at risk of being seized. One evening, as the family gathered in their small living room, her parents called her attention. The power was out, so the room was dimly lit by the glow of a rechargeable lamp. "Adaobi, we need to talk," her father said. His tone was heavy. She looked up from her phone, sensing the seriousness in his voice. "What's wrong, Papa?" Her mother, Nneka, avoided her gaze, staring at the floor. "Adaobi, there is a way to save this family, but it will require a sacrifice from you." Adaobi's heart began to race. "What kind of sacrifice, Papa?" Her father cleared his throat. "Chief Ogbonna has offered to pay off our debts, but in return, he wants to marry you." Adaobi froze. "Chief Ogbonna? That man is older than you, Papa, and he already has 3 wives with so many children." "This is not about love, Adaobi," her father said sharply. "It's about survival. We will lose this house. Where will we go? What will your younger siblings do? But I just finished school. I have plans for my life. How can you ask me to give that all up?" Adaobi's voice trembled with anger and disbelief. "This isn't easy for us either," her mother said softly. "But what choice do we have? Ogbonna is a wealthy man. He can take care of you." Adaobi stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the tiled floor. "No, I won't do it. I'd rather find another way to help this family than sell my future like this." Midnight came. She couldn't sleep that night. Adaobi sat by the window staring at the flickering lights of the town below. The thoughts of becoming someone's fourth wife, of losing her freedom, was unbearable. Her phone rang. Her best friend Chisom called her around midnight. "Ada, what's wrong? You sound upset," her voice breaking. "My parents want me to marry Chief Ogbonna to pay off their debts." "What? That man? He's practically a dinosaur," Chisom exclaimed. "You can't let them do this to you." "I don't know what to do," Adaobi said, tears streaming down her face. "Listen," Chisom said after a moment's pause. "Do you remember that herbalist Nkem? The one who sells herbs and spiritual items online? She told me once about a solution for people in impossible situations. Maybe she can help you." Adaobi was happy. "Tomorrow I shall visit her," she said. The next morning, Adaobi visited Nkem's shop, a small brightly painted building tucked away in a quiet corner of town. Nkem, a middle-aged woman with striking grey hair, greeted her warmly. "What brings you here, my child?" Nkem asked, her voice calm and measured. Adaobi explained her situation, her voice tumbling out in a rush. Nkem listened intently, nodded occasionally. "You are at a crossroad," Nkem said finally. "But there is a way forward, if you are brave enough." "What do I have to do?" Adaobi said, desperation in her voice. Nkem led her to a small back room, filled with so many candles, herbs, and strange symbols painted on the walls. She handed Adaobi a small clay figurine and a scroll of instructions. This figurine holds great power, Nkem explained. Follow the instruction exactly. But be warned, it will test your courage and your determination. That night, Adaobi locked herself in her room and began the ritual. The instructions led her to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, where she was to confront 3 challenges. The first challenge was a virtual stimulation projected into the walls of the warehouse. It showed Adaobi a vision of her family begging for help as they were evicted from their home. She had to resist the overwhelming guilt and reminded herself of her true purpose to find a solution that didn't sacrifice her freedom. The second challenge was a maze of mirrors, each reflection showing a different version of her future. In one, she was Chief Ogbonna's wife, laden with gold but visibly unhappy. In another, she was homeless, struggling but free. She had to choose the path that aligned with her values. The final challenge was a test of memory. She was shown images of her past, moments of joy, pain, and resilience. It reminded her of her strengths and the love she had for her family, giving her the resolve to fight for a better future. When the ritual ended, Adaobi returned home, exhausted but determined. The next day, Chief Ogbonna arrived at their house, his entourage in tow, already treating Adaobi as his property. "Are you ready to come with me?" he asked, his voice dripping with arrogance. Adaobi stepped forward, holding the figurine tightly. "No, Chief Ogbonna, I am not yours to claim." Before anyone could react, she smashed the figurine against the ground. A burst of light filled the room. When it faded, Ogbonna stood frozen. His eyes widened with shock. "What have you done?" her father asked, his voice trembling. "I have taken control of my destiny," Adaobi said firmly. The light from the figurine had done more than stop Ogbonna. It had also erased her family's debt. News of Adaobi's courage spread throughout the town, inspiring other young women to stand up against oppressive traditions. With her family's financial burden lifted, Adaobi was free to pursue her dreams. She moved to Lagos, where she started a successful business, empowering other young women through education and mentorship. Back in Umudike, her story became a legend, a modern tale of courage, resilience, and the power of choice in the face of impossible odds. The end of the story. I'd like to read your comments on what you would have done differently if you were Adaobi. Comment in the comment section and I'll reply each and every one of you. Thank you. If you liked the story, please subscribe, like, and share.